And good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you all for coming to tonight's Deed Fraud Protection Town Hall, sponsored by Detroit City Council Member at Large Mary Waters, in conjunction with District 6 Council Member Gabriela Santiago Romero. Now, our council members are always working for you, so they are currently in a special session and may join us shortly. But that doesn't mean we can't get started on our educational journey. The goal of tonight's town hall is for you to protect your greatest asset, your home. Many of you purchased your homes 30, 40, 50 years ago and have filed away the paperwork and haven't touched it again. And that's something that can cause you to lose out later in life. So tonight, you're going to hear from industry experts and people who help people in Detroit just like you every day protect their home. Because not only do you need to protect it while you're in it, you need to protect it for your future. And while no one likes to think of their own mortality, I want you all to remember the financial crash of 2008 and how many homes we had that were standing that are no more. How many properties that are sitting abandoned because there was no way to pass it on. How many of us have holes in our roofs and plumbing issues we cannot get fixed because our name isn't as the listed owner on the property? So, thank you so much for your rapt attention today. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Joanna Underwood, who is the Senior Housing Specialist and Senior Policy Advisor for Councilmember Mary Waters at Large.
Thank you, Santana. Welcome, District 6. I don't think I've been here before in this rec center before. So welcome, District 6. Hello. Everybody awake? How y'all doing? We brought it right deep southwest for y'all. We are here to educate the homeowners in this area about deed fraud. We done had 84 cases, I believe, over here alone. And those are just the cases that we have reported. It probably could be more. A lot of people probably didn't know exactly what to do or didn't know who to turn to in this situation. So as we go over this presentation, I want everyone to get some pen and paper and pad because you're going to need it, because this is going to be very informative. It's important that you take notes so you can know exactly what to do step by step to protect your home from deed fraud, okay? And so before I get started, I'm going to give you a little history, since we're in Black American History Month, about home ownership in the Black American community and how we got here and why this presentation is so important, okay? So majority of Black Americans came from the South in the great migration up north. Because of the predatory lending practices of the banks, they denied historically Black Americans home ownership since their conception. A lot of our elders decided that they are going to still become homeowners. They're not going to allow that to discourage them. They want the American dream. So what did they do? They decided that they're going to buy their properties in cash when they was denied mortgage loans. So majority of our elders, probably a lot of y'all in here, either bought your property in cash or through land contract. Show me a hand of people that bought their house in cash and land contract. Okay, all right. So when you buy property in cash and you do real estate transaction in cash, guess what you're going to receive? A quit claim deed. Do anybody know what kind of deed they have currently? Okay, everybody should be raising their hand. I ain't telling you to fake it like you know. I'm saying everybody who own property should have raised their hand, because you should know what deed that you have. I guarantee you, if I ask you, what is your property taxes? How many know what they property taxes, how much they pay in property taxes? See? You all know what you pay in property taxes, but you don't know if you're the owner of your home. How do you know you own your property? When the last time you look at that deed? It's probably in the closet. Did you dust it off? You knew you was coming to the meeting. Did you glance at it before you come? You did. Okay. Well, thank you, Jesus. Somebody did. Okay. So we're going to talk about the difference between quick claim deed and warranty deed. Have you ever heard of these terms? Quick claim deed. Have you ever heard of a warranty deed? Okay, so we're going to educate you on the difference between a quick claim deed and a warranty deed. A quick claim deed is only saying they're transferring interest to the home to you. There's no guarantee that the person that you bought that home from own that property. Most of the time, quick claim deeds is used to transfer properties between family, not real estate transactions. You want to know why? Because if I sell you a home, sir, how do you know I own it? Because I said I own it? Because I say I'm Joanna Underwood, LLC, and I got a great deal for you? How would you know? How would you verify that I'm the person that owns the property that I'm trying to sell to you? Okay, we're going to talk about title. But that's important because when you do real estate transactions, you don't want to do real estate transaction. If you can avoid it, you don't want to do it in cash. But if you're going to do it in cash, you got to know what is the proper way to buy real estate. And unfortunately, in our community, Black American community, we were denied so long that right to understand the process of buying property. So when we bought our property in cash and we received those quick claim deeds, we just figured, hey, we own the property, right? But with a quick claim deed, there's no guarantee. With a warranty deed, I guarantee you that I own the property, and if I don't, you can sue me for that. Most of the time, warranty deeds is given to you by the banks when you get approved for a mortgage loan. When you get approved for a mortgage loan, they're going to guarantee, the bank is going to guarantee that one, you're going to pay this loan, and two, we are the owners, and if you don't pay, we're going to keep a lien on your property. So if you miss a payment, too many payments, we're going to do mortgage foreclosure. I had a case dealing with that before I got here. Okay, so that's why the warranty deed is basically guaranteeing you that the property that you're buying, the person that is selling it to you, actually have ownership and interest in the property. With a quick claim deed, there's no guarantee. Buyer be aware. It's just like if you buy a car as is, right? If you buy used cars, there's no guarantee with a quick claim deed. And so what we're going to do is educate you on how to protect whatever deed that you have and make sure that you understand moving forward when you want to transfer your property to your loved ones to do it correctly in the right way. We don't want the elders to be the last generation to own homes in the city of Detroit. Do y'all want to see that happen? Because it will happen. Because scammers, they look at the city of Detroit and they say, well, you know, we have a large population of people who live in the city of Detroit that got quick claim titles. Guess what? They are the most vulnerable, quick claim deeds, and they are the most vulnerable deeds to fraud. Did you know that? Yes. Also, Michigan record more quick claim deed than any state in the United States of America. Okay, hold on. We're going to take questions. Now, so it's important that you understand how to protect your property and how to protect your homes, okay? And so we got a panel full of experts that's going to break down every little details that you need to know So please, please, please make sure you write down everything and pay attention. And thank you so much for coming out and having this important information session with us.
Thank you, Miss Underwood. Thank you so very much. Now, Miss Underwood gave you the history as to how we got here. Why is this important that you get ahead of this and fix it now? When you have a quitclaim deed or a warranty deed or any kind of ownership interest, in order to get access to certain investment products that can help you keep and improve your home, you have to have free and clear title, which means ownership of the property, okay? Now, if you don't have access to investment products and brought on a land contract, there are ways that you can protect yourself from deed fraud with that land contract too. For example, there may be an instance in which you can record that land contract and keep someone else from swooping that property out from under you. Another reason it is so important to guard against deed fraud is because if you ever fall into a delinquency with your property taxes, the property tax office can only negotiate with the registered owner. And at that point that you're negotiating with the Wayne County Treasurer, it might be a little late to discover that your property had been deeded away from you. Our office has handled several cases where that has happened. On top of that, when you leave a legacy, your heirs may not know what they need to do to ensure that that property passes free and clear to them. This panel is going to help you understand some of the things that you can do in order to make sure that your property passes free and clear from one person to the next. So I'd like for you to write down a few key terms, and then I'll introduce the panelists that will explain them. All right, everybody ready? Okay. Warranty deed. That's the first term I want you to write down. Warranty deed. WARRANTY The second term that I want you guys to write down is quit claim deed. That is QUIT, claim, CLAIM, and deed, DEED, okay? The third term I want you to write down is title search, TITLE, search, SEARCH. After that, I want you to write down title commitment. I know that commitment is a scary word. I'm glad Valentine's Day just passed. Woo-wee. But title commitment. So the first person that you're going to hear from today is Harry Kaligarikos, who is the Deputy Register of Deeds. After that, you're going to hear from Ted Phillips at the end from the United Community Housing Coalition. After that, Donovan McCarthy from the MSU Housing Law Clinic. After that, you're going to hear from Robert Donald from Lakeshore Legal Aid. You're going to hear from Emma Howell of Detroit Title and Escrow. And you're going to hear from Suzanne R. Fanning, probate attorney of Suzanne R. Fanning, PC. Now, panelists, when you conclude your speeches, please make sure that you leave your name and your contact information with our audience so that they may contact you at the end. All right, Chief Deputy Register of Deeds, it's your show. Pull the mic all the way to you.
Thank you very much. Santana said, I am Harry Kaligarikos. I am the Chief Deputy Register of Deeds. I bring you greetings from Bernard Youngblood, our Register of Deeds. He does take deed fraud very seriously. But let me talk a little bit about first what our role is in the real estate process. The Register of Deeds office is charged with making an accurate record of all recorded transactions here in the Wayne County. We need to make a an accurate reproduction of the documents, and we need to put them in a searchable form in a database that you can search online to see the records against your property. That's our job. That's our statutory duty. And one of the things that we do is we check each document that comes in to see if it meets certain statutory requirements. I'm not going to give you all of them, but a deed that comes in would have to have the seller, the grantor, the grantee, the buyer, an address for the buyer, a legal description for the property, the address, property ID number. It needs to be signed and dated. It needs to be notarized. That's just some of the items that are on there. And if those items are all there, we accept it for recording. But you know what? The law prevents us from verifying any of that information. We cannot double check and see if that address is right, to see if the names are spelled right for the people on there. We have to take it as is. We have to accept it at face value. And if all the pieces are there, we are bound by law. We have to record that document, which we do. We'll make a reproduction, an accurate reproduction of it. We'll put it into our database. We'll start entering the information in. We'll put recording information on there. You'll see a sticker at the top of the documents that have information about what date and time we received the document, where we recorded it. It'll have a document number. It'll have something called the liber and page, liber being Latin for book, book and page, where we record the documents. And that information helps us to locate the document down the road, or for you to get a copy if you need one. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, why? Why can't you check the information? That's because Michigan is what's called a race to record state. Race to record. That means the first one that gets to our office with a document has priorities over the next person. The most common thing that people hear about, and you probably know this, you hear a reference to a first mortgage and a second mortgage. And really that first mortgage is referring to who is recorded first in time. The second mortgage would be second in time. And that first mortgage has certain rights over the second mortgage. And the fact of us having to verify all that information may delay that recording and change the order out there. And that would be result in problems that the legislature has decided are not worthwhile. And so the legislature many, many years ago said, if that document comes in, has all those pieces, you need to accept it, Mr. Register. Okay, we do. And we send it back. Do what we're supposed to do. But you know what? We recognize that this is a problem. Mr. Youngblood recognized this many years ago when he first came into office. He'd see people in our lobby with like sad faces saying, what's happened? And he'd talk to them and they'd say, well, my property's been stolen. And he'd say, what do you mean? And he goes, well, there's a deed that says that I sold it to somebody and I never did. And he'd say, have you been to the police about this? Yeah, but they just don't understand. They're saying your house is right there. What do you mean it's stolen? This is a paper crime, right? So he got together with the sheriff at that time was Warren Evans, and with prosecutor Kim Worthy, and said, we need to team up. This is a problem. I'm seeing more and more. I can help you out to recognize the problem, but I need your help to investigate, to prosecute, to arrest people when necessary. So he put together this team, and we have a way for you to put in your complaints. But how do you know if you're a victim? We want to help you protect yourself so that you know if something's happening. We have a free service called Property Alert, and there are some flyers that are in the back about how to sign up for Property Alert. Property Alert will send you an email whenever a document in our office is recorded with either your name or the address or the legal description of your property. Again, your name, the address, or the legal description of the property. We have a website, WayneCountyLandRecords.com. That's where you can find the way to set up and get into the Property Alert. You would have to create an account, and it's free, but create an account with your email so that we know it's you. There's two methods to do it. You can do it by what we call keywords. And keywords is just giving them the words that you want to have searched. For instance, your name. I could put down my name, Harry Kalogerakis. I could put down my address. That's another option out there for people to look at. Now, and then whenever something comes in with my name on it, I get an email alert saying, hey, something was done. And then I can double check and see what that document is. And I know that it works because I have put my name in there. And as part of my job, I have to file things on behalf of our office with my name on it. And so I see my name pop up occasionally. I do affidavits normally with my name on it, and it will pop up and tell me, hey, you did something. And I'll look and see when it was and say, yep, that's right. I did that. So this is a way for you to keep track of what's happening. And then what are you supposed to do? As I said, the police are not necessarily the best equipped to do this, although I have to give them credit. The Detroit Police Department is recognizing this more and more. We have had more and more communications with them, reaching out to us, asking for information about this issue. But we have a dedicated team for this. And again, on this, one of the things that you'll have on this flyer is a QR code for a complaint form that you can fill out, your name, contact information, the property that you are interested, you want to find out about that you think was stolen, and a little description in there, a place to put a little description in, submit the form, and usually within 1 or 2 business days, you'll get a phone call back from our office to discuss the situation, to get some more information from you, to review some documents over the phone. And if that happens, as we move ahead and we look at this and we say, hey, this is a bigger problem, we need to take the next step, that would be an actual in-person interview in our office, looking at the documents together face-to-face so we can go see them all, and filling out any forms that you can decide, yes, I want to go take an action and start a formal investigation, criminal investigation in this thing. And we'll help you get that started and refer it to the prosecutor's office to get out there. I want to clarify a couple things. There are a few things we get phone calls for, thinking that there's fraud involved. And it's not always fraud. One of the things we get a lot of times are related to landlord-tenant disputes. And unfortunately, that's not anything we can do. And that includes a situation where you might believe that your landlord is taking rent from you, but doesn't own the property. Unfortunately, that is not a situation that we can help you with. Some other things are tax foreclosures or mortgage foreclosures. Those are often not criminal in nature. Those are really disputes about, hey, they say I owe money and I don't owe money. That's more of a civil dispute. And again, not something that we could help you with. But if you see a document out there that you could learn about that says, hey, it says I sold this property and then you didn't, or you put a mortgage on your property when you didn't. Those are things that we can get out there and we can investigate, and we do want to investigate. The problem is there's no way to stop this unless we convict people, unless we prosecute them and convict them. And that's what this task force is all about. So we ask you to be diligent, watch your property, see what's going on out there. And if you think that something's going on, please call us. Let us help you out with that and investigate and move things along to help you get control of your property and to protect your investment. This is very important. Joanna mentioned that, you need to protect yourself and to protect your wealth. This is how you do it. Enroll in Property Alert. It's a free service. It'll help you stay on top of it. The sooner you can act on these things, the sooner we can deal with it. But I want to tell you something else too about your property. One of the things are very attractive things is that people try to, when I say people, the criminals are looking for properties that are generally look like people aren't paying attention to the situation. So they're looking at vacant houses a lot of times, not exclusively, but vacant houses are more attractive because nobody's there. If it's a vacant house and the trash is piling up, oh, that looks like, yeah, even more. Nobody's paying attention to this property. And how does that hurt you? Well, maybe that's not your property, but now you've got somebody, maybe you might be sucked in, or somebody you know might be sucked in saying, hey, I hear you need a house. I got a house over here. You know, it needs work. It's a little bit behind on the taxes, but I'll let you have it for cheap because I can't deal with it. And they'll pretend it's theirs. And that's where we get into the quitclaim deeds and warranty deeds. You need to find out, does this person really own the property? That's where a warranty deed is required. That's where title insurance is required. And one of the things I have to tell everybody, again, we make a record and we look at that record. But one of the things that our office can't tell you, we can let you see everything. We can let you see all the documents going back as far as you want on a piece of property. But we are not able to give you a legal opinion about who actually owns the property. That is something that you need to consult with a real estate professional. And truthfully, the best place is with a title company. If you're thinking about buying a property, you need to work with the title insurance company they are the ones that can thoroughly investigate the title, find out everything that needs to be taken care of so that you get clean ownership of a piece of property that you're buying, and will give you insurance in case there is a problem. You can turn to them and say, hey, help me fix this. So that's our role, register deeds. But to keep you safe right now, I encourage everybody to look and go to our website, WayneCountyLandRecords.com, and to enroll in Property Alert so you can protect yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Deputy Register of Deeds. Thank you. Next, with 2 minutes remarks, we have Douglas Parker of the Detroit Law Department. 2 minutes.
Yes, well, good afternoon, everybody. So I'll be brief, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what we're doing at the Law Department. I'm the chief of our Criminal Enforcement and Quality of Life section, and we've recently been conferring with the Register of Deeds about widespread deed fraud that's going on in the city. And we wanted to try and share some resources with them to address this problem. And so one of the things we're doing is we have some members of the Detroit Police Department that have been assigned to help look at some of these situations. It kind of adds to the few people that the deed fraud unit at the prosecutor's office has. They have just a small staff, so we're trying to add to that. And we're looking at some of these schemes because there's some individuals that are frequent flyers in this. They submit fraudulent deeds one after another. We have names. We have names of notaries that seem to be involved in some of these schemes. And what we have just started to do is investigate some of these wider spread schemes to try and eventually make some cases to deter this conduct. The other thing we're doing as a law department is if you've been the victim of this, you try and sell your house, or you try and get a loan or on it, or whatever, you got a problem because the title's been screwed up with somebody filing a deed. So we are in the process of trying to develop a system where we can help people that this has happened to clear the title. And we'd like to do this with as many people as we can, and where we're going to file a clear title to get it straightened up. So when you go to sell it or take a loan out or something like that, you won't have to put up with the problem here with a fraudulent deed. So those are some of the things that we're currently doing. We just started this with extra police and with our own law department, because that's a civil, it's not a criminal procedure where we go into court and try and straighten out the titles. And we haven't done it yet because we're still gearing up to do that. And we're also just started with the police doing some more intensive investigations on some of these, what looks to be a wider spread scheme that's brought in a lot of properties. Yes, sir. Oh, okay.
Thank you, Attorney Parker, and everyone will have the opportunity for questions, but you're going to have to write them down because if our panelists get through their presentations, your question may have been answered. And we also have an audience joining us on Zoom. So remember, please write down your questions, and towards the end of the presentations, we will have time for you to talk with the panelists or ask open Q&A, but please note we broadcast on Zoom, so don't air all the family tea.
Well, I am a lawyer, so I could talk all night to you folks, but I think my 2 minutes are up. So I'm going to pass the baton.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, the next voice you will hear for the next 10 minutes is Mr. Ted Phillips of the United Community Housing Coalition. Remember those key terms that I told you to write down in the beginning of the presentation. And remember that any questions that you may have, please write them down as well, so that during open Q&A, they may be addressed. Ted, take it away.
Thank you. First of all, I want to apologize in advance. I have a board meeting to get to downtown at 5:30 from my nonprofit organization, so I am going to have to leave immediately afterwards. There are, however, a number of flyers we have in the back, a couple of them from the United Community Housing Coalition with our general number, with our tax hotline number, and with an email help number as well. I would encourage you to pick those up. There also is a flyer for Wayne Metro. We are not Wayne Metro, but they're doing an event tomorrow that's very important. We're not part of it, but it's very important on tax foreclosure. A lot has been said here already, and I don't want to repeat it, but certainly if you think you're in deed fraud, yes, you should be reporting that to the Wayne County Register of Deeds. You should be reporting it to the Deed Fraud Task Force. I'm delighted to hear that the law department is a little more active in this now, and it may be doing some quiet title cases, but it sounds like that hasn't got started yet. And the other thing you need to do, though, is to get legal help. Whether the law department could do that or not, I don't know, but get legal help, because even if there are criminal actions that can be taken, you may need a quiet title. That is a court deciding in a civil matter that you are in fact the owner. That trumps some fraudulent forged deed somebody did against you. You also may need help stopping an eviction. Yes, an eviction. You may be the owner and find out that you're in eviction court because somebody else is saying they own the property. So those things are very important to be, and that, as a last step. The Housing Coalition does a number of things. We are one of the agencies that provides eviction defense in 36th District Court. We're one of 5 agencies that do that. We're there every day. We or our partners are there every day of the week. There's 20,000 cases filed in that court annually. There are 5 different courts. We have them all covered. We also engage in some case management work. We do outreach with eviction cases. And these are eviction cases of tenants, but also, again, homeowners, land contract buyers, things of that nature. One of the problems with that court in general has been getting notice of your hearings and being able to be aware of that. I think we can all figure out what happened in 2020 with the post office in Detroit, and it hasn't changed that much. And what we see in the 36th District Court is about 25% of the cases being defaults. What does that mean? 25% of the people are not showing up, a lot of times not knowing about that, and that's a huge problem. One of the ways we try to address that, but it's way too massive for us to get out to every house, but is to go out and knock on doors when we know people have missed their first hearing and things of that nature. We also have engaged in providing some financial assistance, very limited, Sometimes we have it directly, sometimes we can work through other agencies to help tenants be able to pay rent to stay in their homes. We've also engaged in situations where there's a need for tenants to move or homeowners to move, land contract buyers to move. Why? Because the house isn't livable. There's 3 feet of sewage in the basement. There's no heat in the winter. The roof's falling apart. They need to be out of there. Even if they have great legal rights, they need to be out of there. So we work to try to help them find new housing. Tax foreclosure is a major emphasis that we have, particularly this time of year. We've been working on that since 2003. I think that's longer than any other nonprofit in the city of Detroit. That was the second year under the current law when foreclosures could lead to the taking, when foreclosures could take place under this particular law. If you know anyone who has got a yellow bag, that's your greatest flag for there's trouble here. That needs to be resolved by March 31st, or they can lose their home. We engage in outreach on that as well. We try to get people into payment plans, into whatever, and I think there was supposed to be somebody from the treasurer's office here tonight, so I'm not going to go into that in great detail. They can cover that. We try to help people get into those plans. We also work with homeowners to get into the HOPE program. That is one where you can get your taxes waived if you're at or below the poverty level. If you're a little bit higher than that, you can get 50% knocked off your taxes. It is a very good program that a lot of people have worked very hard, both in the city and in the nonprofit community, to make sure that people are protected. There's a state law that requires every community to have a poverty tax exemption. Detroit's, as far as I can see, is better than any place in the entire state. We also work with residents to make sure that they have their documents filed, the principal residence exemption, showing that they occupy the property. It's not enough to just have your deed. You need to also tell the city through through the principal residence exemption that you're occupying. You also need to file documentation showing that you're the new owner, so you get recorded there. We help people to buy homes that are in tax foreclosure, the occupants of those homes. A program called Make It Home. We've bought 1,700 homes since 2017. There was a little bit of a hiatus during the COVID period in time, but that's been a very effective program. We engage in a little bit of mortgage foreclosure counseling, but not a lot. Most of the people that we represent and try to assist are very low income in the city of Detroit, and that is not folks who generally can get mortgages, and sometimes because of the area they're in. And I grew up in Southwest Detroit, and I know areas of the city that it's very difficult to get a mortgage. So we try to work with them to be able to purchase a property with the city of Detroit, to purchase a property after it has been foreclosed. We do a lot of drafting of various documents. We sell properties on land contracts. That's not a bad thing. It's a bad thing when a bad person does it and tries to scam you, charges you 11% interest, which is legal, and puts all sorts of other terms in, and gives you something that you can't even record because there's taxes owing, and the state has a foolish law that requires taxes to be current for filing your land contract. What the heck one has to do with the other, I have no idea. But we sometimes, to make sure that something can get filed, at least file what's called a claim of interest. So if you have a non-recordable document, but you are the owner, we can at least file a claim of interest to put the next person on notice that you have a claim to that property. We have a land contract buyout program. What's that? We get involved where land contract buyers are about to lose their home. There was a study done a few years ago showing that about 5% of the persons who bought under land contracts in the city of Detroit from 2010 to 15. That study was done in 23. Why? To give it time to show it worked or didn't work. 5% of the people that bought from an investor from out of state or out of the country was all that actually ended up getting their deed. It was 100% improvement, however, for Detroit investors and Michigan investors. Yes, what does that mean? 10% did. So most land contracts fail for one reason or another. Some is out and out predatory practices. Some is just not understanding what's being signed. Keep in mind, with a land contract, you're very often dealing with a sophisticated investor and someone who's never bought a house before. Doesn't speak ill of them. It speaks ill of the sophisticated investor taking advantage, frankly. So we get involved when there's a risk of losing. Very often these cases are in court. We help buy out the land contract. Usually it's down to $10,000 to $20,000 or so. Then the person has to pay us back at 0% interest. That's a lot less than 11. and they're able to get their home in a few years. So that's been a very successful but small program. Some of the examples of work we've done in this area, work we've done with our partners. Last August, attorney from Michigan Legal Services, being at the court, spotted a case where somebody came in and they had a eviction case, and their eviction case was brought by a group called, I'm not going to give you the exact name, I don't remember it, but it was Holy Something, okay, a church-like sounding name, and he discovered that there was a deed from Holy Something to Holy Something. What? Where was the owner in that? They never deeded anything to that. The proprietor of Holy Something didn't bother showing up in court, but his attorney did and said, well, I got a bunch of other documents. The next hearing, he conceded he didn't have a bunch of other documents, and our client won the case. But Suzanne didn't stop there. She went back and looked at, well, what other cases has this group brought? And she found 5 others. One had already been evicted because we didn't even find out about this until August, and this was June that person was evicted. She found another one, though, that had been in her home for 70 years, since she was 10 years old. She was currently out of the home because it was being repaired, okay? And so if she did get the flimsy mailed notice, she wasn't aware of it. So she only knew because we contacted her, but we did. And we contacted the others as well that had also had issues of not being in court. And all of those cases were dismissed. I'm hoping that that particular company that I know the Deed Fraud Task Force was working on, I'm hoping that there are some repercussions for them, because that's the way you stop stuff like that from happening, not just one by one, but putting people in jail, putting people fines with people. Some of the things that we see very often with deed fraud, and some of this has already been said, so I won't go over it too much, but what was mentioned was catching people at vulnerable moments. So tax foreclosure is one of those moments. Sometimes we've seen cases where there's been forged deeds. The old owner thinks, well, I lost it for taxes. What can I do? They actually didn't lose it for taxes. It got deeded over to somebody else with a forged name. That person then went to the Wayne County Treasurer, who didn't know. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong there, but didn't know and gave them a break and took it out of foreclosure. So we've seen those kinds of things. We've seen deeds signed by dead people. Sometimes the fraudster is so stupid that they sign it after the dead person died, but that's pretty easy to win if you can prove it, but usually it's not. Usually it's before. Sometimes those are family issues. Sometimes where one family member, stepson or stepbrother or whatever, will step in and produce a deed that is not so. Vacant property is a big problem. That's been mentioned as well. It's also a big problem with tenants that we see. If you're finding somebody that you're renting from or buying from, that the only time you ever meet them is at the vacant property and they don't have a business address, and when you call them on the phone, you can't seem to get them on the phone. Those are red flags, guys. There's also, though, despite like the deed fraud angle, there's what I called there's other kinds of things which kind of amount to what I call planned theft. And that's where you get somebody selling you something and they give you a non-recordable document. Okay, so and what we see there in terms of the fraud is sometimes what they will do once you've paid a little bit of money, sometimes it's just a down payment maybe a month or two, and they disappear. And then that person sells to somebody else who records theirs, and the recorded document versus yours, as you've already heard, is gonna prevail. And I mentioned it before, sellers between land contracts are a problem because very often you're dealing with a sophisticated seller and the buyer is not so. Get help. There is help out there. I mean, we help review proposed land contracts. I tell people all the time, I can tell you what you can avoid getting into if you bring this to me before you sign it. I can only tell you what you got yourself into if you bring it after you've signed it. That doesn't mean we can't do anything, but there are terms that are legal, such as the 11% interest, such as giving you a document that says you're going to pay it off in 3 years. But when you do the math, you find that $50,000, $500 a month is not going to pay off in 3 years. It's going to leave you with one heck of a balloon payment that there's no way you're going to be able to make. And all the money you put down, all the work you did in the property, and the $500 a month, which seemed like a pretty good deal at the time, didn't amount to anything. Again, steps to take to avoid, some of this has been mentioned, making sure that you've got your deed recorded, making sure you keep on top of it, trying to get a warranty deed, but you also need title insurance there because a warranty deed could be a fake too. A warranty deed only means that I'm warranting that I own the property. If I don't have two nickels to rub together and you want to come back and sue me later, it's not going to make any difference. To the degree that you can, if you're not using a title company, at least try to check at least yourself or get some help to check. We do checks all the time to see who is recorded owners and things of that nature. Record your interest. If you have something you can't record, at least if you have a land contract, we can help do a memorandum, and you can't record that because of the stupid state law. You can still do a memorandum of land contract. We can help with that. If there's someone claiming they own your property and sending you this silly thing to go to court, don't assume that it is a joke or something you don't need to pay attention to because I'm the owner. Why should I have to go to court to say I'm the owner? Because someone else is saying they are and going to tell a judge that they are, and is going to produce a document that's going to give the bailiff the authority to set you in the street and put all of your stuff in a dumpster. That's why. Get receipts. If you're on a land contract, make sure you're making your payments, make sure you get receipts. Try to show that they get a running balance if you can. I can't tell you how many times we get into court on land contract forfeiture cases only to find that, the person says they did this, they did that, they did something else. They paid in cash, though. They paid on electronically, but they can't prove that. And there's a huge, big discrepancy as to what is owed. It's not really $20,000, it's $40,000. So make sure you're getting that as you go through. Those are some of the basic things I think you can cover that will help protect you. Again, I would urge you to pick up the flyers that I have in back with our numbers on them, and I apologize in advance. I do like to see people at the end of this, but I do have to get back to a meeting. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ted Phillips of the United Community Housing Coalition, and who's joined us from her long day of session, but your council member at large, Mary Waters. Council member?
Oh, well, listen, I am not going to slow the show down here. I know that you all are receiving a lot of helpful information, so I'm going to allow them to continue. I'm so happy that you're here so that you can receive this most valuable information. Generational wealth, right? Dignity, all of those things. And people are trying to rob you of all of those things. And so we're going to find ways to protect ourselves. And that's what this is all about. All right. And so I'm happy to see everybody that has joined us this afternoon. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's give our panel a round of applause. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Waters. Thank you. Our next panelist is Donovan McCarty from the Michigan State University Housing Justice Clinic. Take it away for 10 minutes.
Thank you. I have a similar situation with Ted where I actually have to run right after I do my presentation, but I would like to give you all my contact information so you can call me or email me whenever you want. So my email is housingclinic at law.msu, like Michigan State University, .edu. So housingclinic at law.msu.edu. And my phone number is 517-432-6967. 517-432-6967. Okay, so a little background about me, or actually before I do that, just to walk through what deed fraud looks like for folks on a daily basis, right? As Harry explained, the Register of Deeds, they don't have any authority to reject deeds, basically. As long as they comply with certain form requirements, they don't have any authority to reject them. So that means that a fraudulent deed can fairly easily be filed on your property. Now, I want to be clear, even though that sounds very scary, it doesn't actually mean that the home is now that person's, right? Under Michigan law, it's still your home, right? A fraudulent deed conveys no good title to anyone, not even what's called a bona fide purchaser. So let's say that fraudster takes it and then they sell it 4 more times to somebody else, they get out a mortgage, whatever. None of those people have valid interests, right? It's still your property. Now, courts sometimes mess up and they might, so it's not without risk, right? Which is why it's important to keep on top of it, to understand what your title is. But the point there is, it's still a problem for you, because even if you know about it, even if you sign up and you get notified, you're on the hook for about maybe $5,000 to pay an attorney to clear your title, to do what the law department sounds like they might be stepping in to help with, and what our clinic does. We help people with those cases on a pro bono basis. Because truthfully, figuring it out how to do it yourself would be a full-time job, and you might do it wrong anyway, right? It's very difficult to kind of navigate this system. These are not simple cases. So anyway, so how you often find out about it, though, is maybe somebody tells you, hey, your home's for sale. And you say, I didn't sell it, right? So at that point, or maybe somebody pulls up, I've had this too, they pull up a moving truck onto your front lawn and they say, I'm moving into your house. And you say, no, you're not. So, and that's when you contact, Bernard Youngblood's office and the Register of Deeds, and you'll likely talk to someone, a wonderful person named Sandra Buciero, and she'll look at it and she'll say, okay, and then she'll put my number and a bunch of other people on a list, and you can call us and potentially get help. Okay. So that's kind of roughly what it looks like when you have deed fraud. Now, a little bit about my clinic. All of my students this semester have a deed fraud case. I have represented probably, I'd say dozens of people, mostly in the city of Detroit, who have, fraudulent deeds that have been filed. Some of them have situations that are, the fraudster did it and then they never heard about it again. Other people actually ended up evicted from their home. So it can be anywhere on that spectrum. And that goes to what Ted was talking about. If you have a court case, show up in court, right? It's incredibly important to show up in court if you have a court case. Because that's how, if you don't, right, you get a default judgment, and then the movers come, or not the movers, sorry, the bailiff comes with the dumpster, throws your things out. So you don't want that to happen to you. That's kind of worst case scenario in terms of deed fraud. Our clinic is limited, right? We only have, I have 5 students this semester. Next semester, I might have 6. So we don't take, tons of cases, but we take as many as we can. And I'm happy to counsel anyone through it, even if we can't help you, or try to point you in the right direction for other resources. Again, that's why having my phone number and my email address, if you know of anybody, or if you yourself, God forbid, are a victim, feel free to contact me. But so I've kind of mentioned to you, there's not a lot of proactive measures that are being discussed. Obviously, you can add criminal penalties that hopefully deter people from doing fraud. My position on that is that fraudsters are going to fraud. That's just so someone is going to commit deed fraud, even if we have a harsh penalty. So we have to try to understand what we can do to stop the fraud in the first place. So some of the things, so we're working on legislation with some state legislators that would, we believe, comprehensively address deed fraud. It would give registers of deeds the ability to substantively review deeds so that the deeds wouldn't get filed. It would also give an ability to have expedited quiet title. So if you are a victim, you can do it with low cost and very quickly. And so that's what we're working on. There are a lot of other provisions that we're working on as well, but those are the kind of fundamental two. I also want to mention that for our services, one of the struggles with getting assistance with this is that there's a lot of really strict income requirements on certain organizations that do help with this. We don't have those same income requirements. Now, if you come to me and you tell me you're making $200,000 a year, I'm going to tell you, sorry, we can't help you. But generally speaking, we're more than happy to help people, even if they're above certain income requirements. So that's really, I think, most of what I wanted to say. I'm just going to look at my notes really quickly.
Repeat your telephone number and your contact information one more time slowly for those who didn't get it.
Absolutely. So it's 517-432-6967. And my email address is housingclinic@law.msu.edu. The other thing I was going to say that I forgot, and I think that Sandra in the Register of Deeds or someone in Harry's office can help you with. I think they're now helping you file claims of interest. So if you do find that you are a victim of fraud, you can file something saying, hey, hold up before you consider buying this so that it doesn't get further down the road. And we can help you with that too if there's some reason that they can't. But I believe, I mean, Harry can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I believe that they are now assisting people filing those to kind of say, if somebody's considering buying this, right, then in the Register of Deeds, it will say, no, take a look at this, stop. I believe that fraud has been committed on this. So we can help you with that. The Register of Deeds can help you with that. And I think that's mostly all I wanted to say. And again, I apologize. I do have to leave now, but I will respond to emails or call you back if you have questions. Again, yes, 517-432-6967. Oh, yeah, McCarty, McCarty. And it might take me like a week or so, but I will return all calls and emails.
And Attorney McCarty, we certainly appreciate the work that you're doing. How many clients do you currently have?
Currently, I have 5, but in line, I have probably 11, 15, something like that.
All deed fraud, and that is crazy, absolutely crazy. And so I also want you to know that I've been talking with state legislators as well, because we want those bills to pass.
Oh,
We
great.
really do.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the Register of Deeds, they have this, what is it, alert system, Harry? The alert system that people can sign up. And so for those of you who may have difficulty going online and signing up for the alert system, we plan to do a class on it ourselves and make sure that everybody participate in that alert system, because that's all that the Register of Deeds has right now. You heard the attorney say, listen, people can bring in a deed as long as the form is filled out correctly. The Register of Deeds has to accept it. They don't have any leeway unless Lansing makes some changes. And if that is the case, that would be great.
And Council,
Yes. All right, go ahead.
Is this on? Yeah, Donovan mentioned the affidavits out there, the claim of interest, and that's not exactly true. We are not able to help you prepare any legal documents, and a claim of interest would be a legal document. What we are doing, though, in some instances, based on certain limited criteria, we are filing our own affidavits on our behalf to say, there is someone has come in and he's made a complaint about this property, and which has been referred to the prosecutor. But those are only under limited circumstances. Just so you know, we cannot prepare a document for you to record in our office. Thanks.
my apologies.
No, that's okay.
I could do that though, if they're not able to, I'm happy to do that. Yeah, certainly, yeah. Yeah. And I did want to say one other thing, Councilmember Waters, that we're working on, if you don't mind. Another thing that we're working on that I think is interesting is I'm working with some computer scientists to be able to actually analyze registers of deeds and pull information. So what Ted described, right? If somebody signs a deed after they're dead, right? We can use AI, we can read deeds, right? And we can say that person's dead, we can compare it with the death record, and we can say this is likely fraud, right? Same thing if we are able to see, usually on a deed, only the grantor signs it, the person who's giving it away, not the grantee. So we don't have the grantee's name on the original deed, the correct deed. So then when that grantee is signing it now on this new deed as the grantor, we can't tell if that's a fraudulent signature or not because we don't have a sample. But we do have samples with a property transfer affidavit, principal residence exemption. We can compare these databases and we can determine, and hopefully at some point in the future, reach out to people proactively and say, hey, there might be something here that you should look into or that we could help you look into. So that's another project that we're working on, maybe probably a little bit further on down the road, but something that we're working on.
Thank you so much, Attorney McCarty. Thank you.
I apologize again.
Now, the next speaker is very relevant to two of those terms that I told you to write down earlier. And those terms are title search and title commitment. So the next speaker you'll be listening to and writing down questions for is Emma Howell of Detroit Title and Escrow.
Good afternoon, District 6. How are we? We're District 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, District 6. Good afternoon. Oh, let me change this. What up, though? Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you for taking the time out of your afternoon to come in and do what we call protect our investment, protect our generational wealth, invest in ourselves. We're hearing this and it's scary, deed fraud. And how we perceive that is either money is being taken from us because someone frauded us on the front end of looking to purchase a property to invest in ourselves or to invest in our family or to create that generational wealth, or someone defrauded us on the back end because they've signed our name and we didn't do that. So they fraudulently signed our name on a deed and they've attempted or they've successfully sold our home. So we're hearing deed fraud a lot, right? And we've also heard the words quick claim deed. We've heard the words warranty deed. You've heard the words title search or title commitment. And I'm hopeful that you did write that down as she requested you to, so that we can cover that in more detail and you can fully understand where we can go and be proactive versus being reactive with using the panel and the tools and the resources that you're going to get tonight. Where we come in at as a title insurance company, Detroit Title and Escrow, we are a title insurance company and we play an essential role in any real estate transaction. And that's on the proactive end, not so much on the reactive end if you already own your home, but there are some tools that we'll talk about and some resources and things to help you be more aware of what's going on with your property on top of signing up for the deed alert. But from a title insurance perspective, our role as a title company is to insure your investment. How do we do that? One of the first things that you need to understand with that and when involving a title company is you need to truly understand the difference between a quit claim deed and a warranty deed. And then we're going to talk about where does title insurance fit in with that, right? So this question has been asked from every session we had, and I'm just curious to know, and I believe she asked this early on, how many of you, or when was the last time you looked at your warranty deed or your quit claim deed or whatever type of deed you received to your home? When was the last time you did that? Today? Right now? Yesterday? Before you came? You watched the Zoom? You did check it.
And I actually got my register. I paid the $27 or whatever and got everything
From the kind. Okay. What type of deed do you have?
lady.
Okay, so you have a ladybird deed. Okay.
Old paper, 1956. when my parents bought the house. So I'm
Okay.
gonna put all that stuff in order.
Perfect. So you have a ladybird deed, and we'll cover that because that's a lot about generational wealth and keeping that deed in the family. And you have some excellent legal advisors here that'll talk about that. So I won't tap into it too much, but that's a good path. How many of you, anyone else, you looked at your deed, you have a quick claim, you have a warranty deed? We don't know. You got a warranty deed. So I'm assuming you got your warranty deed, you went through a title company? Perfect. You have a quick claim deed. Did you go through a title company or you? That was selling homes. So you didn't go through a title company. Okay. All right. So a couple of things. That's good to know. One of the things that I always ask when you leave from these sessions, and it has been successful because Councilman Waters, we've gotten a ton of phone calls and a ton of folks that have been following up and saying, hey, I looked at my deed. So the feedback has been great. I do ask that you take the time tonight, if you can go home and find your deed. Look at your deed. Look at what type of deed that you have, because it's important that you do that. For some of you that may have purchased your home on a land contract, you need to look at the records and see if you even have a deed. Okay? Because not always did you get a deed after you've purchased on a land contract because you thought that was enough after you paid off your property. So it's important that you go home tonight and you pull that document to see what type of deed that you have and look at the name on the deed. Make sure it has your name, or perhaps you took title single and now you're married. All of that makes a difference, and we'll talk about that. But the reason I wanted to know what type of deed you have is because when you hear the word quick claim deed, basically that's someone, as it was stated earlier, that's saying, I may have some sort of interest in this property. I may own it. I may not own it. I may own it with baggage, meaning that whoever I bought it from had a lien against them. They were in a divorce. They were in a bankruptcy. Maybe they only partially owned it. Maybe they only had a 50% ownership. So basically what I'm doing when I'm giving you that quick claim deed is I'm deeding you whatever interest I have, if any. And you're giving me money for that, right? So the quick claim is not always the way to go when you're purchasing property, whether it's cash, a mortgage, a land contract. Now, you do the flip side of that, you get a warranty deed. That's what we all want, because the word warranty means I'm warranting to you that I do own this property. I have the right to sell this property. This property is free and clear of any liens. What do I mean by liens? What do you think I mean when I say any liens? What am I? Mortgages? What else? I'm water bills, mortgages, judgments. The person that's selling the property, you could have a judgment against them. They could have a DOJ lien against them. They could have they could be in a bankruptcy. So for anyone that's selling property to you and they're selling that property to you on a warranty deed, they're warranting that that property is free and clear of any of those things that I just pointed out. And if for some reason that property is not free and clear, you've paid the money, they've given you this warranty deed, now you're ready to sell that property, right? Or you're ready to take advantage of one of these great city opportunities and get a home improvement loan, and you find out, there's title issues. But you like, you gave me a warranty deed. So guess what you can do? You can go and sue that person, right? Because they gave you a warranty deed. Versus if you got a quick claim deed, you can't go sue him because he only gave you the interest that he had, and it was chance that issues came along. Now, you go and you sue that person because they gave you a warranty deed, but now there's issues on the title. You sue them. Tell me what you're going to get. Anybody? Why?
You're going to get a judgment.
You will get a judgment, but that's a process. That's going to take time. You sue him. He got $5 in the bank. You're going to get $5, right? But guess what? If you take the time and you take the consideration and say, well, what could I have done different? What you could have done different is you could have involved the title company. You see, our role as the title company, we're third party. You come to the title company and the title company says, oh, you want to purchase this property. Now we need to perform a title search. That was one of the words that you heard, right? You wrote that down. We need to perform a title search. What is a title search? What does that do? Well, we perform the search. What we're doing is, one, we are identifying that whomever you're negotiating with to purchase that property are in fact the person or company or whomever that owns the property. We're looking at their authority documents if it's a business to make sure that they do have the ability to sell that property. We're reviewing them, whether they're a business or an individual, to determine if they have if they're in an open bankruptcy, if they have any judgments against them, if they have any liens against them that would prevent them from giving you clear title. We're also looking at the taxes because you may only know about summer taxes. You may not even know about delinquent taxes. You may not know about homestead denials, but we do. We're looking at that property and we're looking at those documents that are recorded against that property to determine if this person was married and in a divorce and got married again, were they supposed to give the property to the wife and they did not, and now they're trying to resell it. You wouldn't know that, but we would, because these are some of the things that we look for when we're performing a title search before you get ready to give someone money in exchange for a deed. So our role is to do a comprehensive title search, also known as a title commitment, and lay out everything that's going on with that property that's recorded and some things that are not recorded by the questions that we ask and the information that we find. And then we put together this report and we say, okay, now let's talk. You want to sell, he or she wants to buy, but we need to take care of this open mortgage. We need to know if you've closed that bankruptcy case. Oh, wait, we have a $5,000 IRS lien over here that needs to be paid out of the money that you're looking to get from that party for that warranty deed. So again, our role is to lay out everything that's going on with that property. And then once everything has been satisfied, meaning if there's money due to someone or if there's mortgages and they've been paid off, we have evidence to back that up and so forth. Then we're going to say, now we can talk about giving that warranty deed, because in connection with you getting a warranty deed, we're going to take that title search and we're going to change it into an actual title policy. So what that title policy will do is, after you've given the money for the warranty deed and that person's giving you the warranty deed and you've paid us for this title search or this title insurance, which the beauty of it is you pay at one time. And that's when you buy the property. It's not an annual thing. It's not, I got to renew this every time I make a change. It's one time. When you buy the property, that title insurance is now protecting you as a new owner of that property for the duration of you owning it. Guess what? We go back 40 years on a title search. So we're looking at things that have transpired at minimum 40 years in any real estate transaction. Sometimes we go back further on our search if we have to. But the ultimate goal is, if you're buying property on a warranty deed, don't just think I want the warranty deed, but I'm hopeful that I'm gonna hear you say, in connection with the warranty deed, what else do you want? You want the title insurance, you want the clear title, because that's what protects you. If for some reason, 5 years from now, you've paid for title insurance, you've gotten a warranty deed, someone comes back and says, hey, that was a fraudulent deed on that property. That's my property. 5 years from now, 5 weeks from now, 5 days from now, that's my property. John sold it to you and he didn't own it. And you went through a title company, you got a title search, or title policy. Guess what? Who do you call? Do you call John for the $5? Or do you call the title company and say, I need you to step in and help me fix this? Who am I going to call? That's correct. So what you want to keep in mind is, if you're buying any type of property, whether you're buying it on a land contract, you're buying it cash, or you're getting a mortgage, and most lenders, the average lender nowadays says, if I'm gonna loan you money on a property, I definitely want a title company involved. You always want to engage the title company, because that's where your protection comes in at. That's where you're being proactive at. Now, if you're on the stance, if you're saying, I just don't want a warranty deed, I'm okay with the quick claim deed because I'll take care of the taxes, I'll do all that, that's great. That's to your decision to do, but you still want to at least, at minimum, get a title search, because you still want to make sure that whomever you're buying it from, they can sell it. And if there are some issues out there, that might change your decision on saying, oh yeah, the taxes due, I'll pay that, it's a good deal. It may not be a good deal now. It gives you something else to think about. It empowers you on how you want to make your next investment, right? So you always want to think, if I'm buying, if I'm investing, I want to be proactive. That's how I protect myself from the defrauding on the beginning side. On the flip side, yes, you definitely want to sign up for the title alert. You definitely want to go home and look at your deed that you have, or whatever document you have right now, to make sure that, one, you do have a recorded document. There are situations where people have gotten deeds but didn't realize, and you could be in the audience, I should have went and recorded that. Or I thought the person I got it from was going to record it. So now you're sitting around with a deed and it's not recorded. So guess what? If it's not recorded, you're not the owner of record. As Harry pointed out, Michigan is a race to record state. So if you don't have your deed on record and someone else runs down there and put a document on record, guess what? They've trumped your ownership. So we need to be, we got to react, we got to think, we got to look at this where I need to check my records, I need to make sure that I'm good, I need to sign up for title alert, I need to be mindful who I do business with, I need to make sure I'm not putting my niece on my property and I'm doing half what he or she, and they're not good financial wise, because they can make business decisions on your behalf if you've added them to something and you didn't realize it. We can't trust everyone. You know, we got to watch our records. These are the things that we have to do to be reactive, as well as be proactive, as well as reactive when it comes to protecting the investment, keeping that generational wealth within the family. Okay? So again, you want a warranty deed or you want title insurance? That's okay. So I thank you for your time. The panel will talk to you more about ladybird deeds and other ways to protect your generational wealth, but I will #07. My partner's in the back. We do have pamphlets and other materials. So if you don't write it down, we do have some business cards. And my name is Emma. Elder Howe, and I've been doing this for about 26 years, and the passion and the beauty of it is for the last 21 years, I've been stomping the streets and trying to just educate and empower you with this information. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Emma of Detroit Title and Escrow. Now, we've talked a lot about deed fraud and what to do if you find it. Now, let's talk about going a step forward and protecting your legacy. And we have Mr. Robert Donald of Lakeshore Legal Aid to talk about homes for generations for 10 minutes. Give him your biggest ear.
Good afternoon, good evening. I have flyers in the back for Lakeshore Legal Aid. You have heard a lot of information about deed fraud and what you need to do and what you should do. I'm here to tell you, if you don't leave here and do two things, one, go check and see what deed you have on record. And two, talk to this lady. Councilman Waters have asked me to come to this. This is my second time coming out. The first time I talked about all the things that Lakeshore could do for you. And we will quiet title if you are a victim of deed fraud. We will help you transfer your property from whoever's name is currently sitting on the property to your name if you need that. We have a number of services that I'm not going to detail because I brought 100 flyers and there ain't 100 people in here that you can see that we offer. Lakeshore has been operating in the city of Detroit for over 50 years. They have 8 offices in the Tri-County area. We have an office in downtown, Cass Corridor, right across from Masonic Temple. We have an office in Southwest Detroit. We have an office in Dearborn, so if you far west. We also have an office in Taylor. We have 2 offices in Oakland County, a office in Macomb County, and a office in Port Huron. It's a little piece of office. Nobody's going up there. If you are, so 2 days ago, a client called me and I didn't know how she got my information. Apparently she got my information from you. She called and she is a victim of not deed fraud, but mortgage fraud. So she entered into a land contract without consulting a title search company. She was in a bad way last year. So she gave her seller $10,000 down, $5,000 in closing costs, $15,000 total. She's been paying $1,500 a month. And she almost did everything right she was supposed to do. She was supposed to get the house inspected. She got the house inspected. She was supposed to go talk to a lawyer to make sure that the land contract was right. She went and talked to a lawyer, but it was his lawyer. It wasn't you. It was not you. It wasn't you. The lawyer told her, yes, everything looks good and you should go ahead and sign it. And she now has a notice that she will forfeit her house at the end of the month. More than likely, that's not going to happen because there are defects in the land contract that hopefully we will be able to bring to light in a court and assist her to make sure that that doesn't happen. But the point at where we're at now is she's sitting there with her minor children in a home and she thinks she's going to be evicted in 2 weeks. That's a lot of stress. That does not have to happen if you go and seek. So you heard Ted has a small shop. I'm sorry. Ted has a small shop, but he's got all the money. The Wayne, the Michigan State guy, he's got a small shop with 5 kids. Well, 5 law students. I call them kids because we have kids in our office too. but five cases with 15 on a waiting list. We handle that in a week.
Oh.
So, yes, if you need assistance, you need to call Lakeshore Legal Aid. We will review your deed. We will review your land contract. We will review whatever legal document you have to make sure that you are on the right side. That's the preventative side. On the back end, once you get into it and you find yourself where my client is, we will help you get the necessary legal remedy to get out of it. I have Lakeshore has a clinic that is called Home for Generations, where the Gilbert Foundation, which has been very generous to 501c3s, commissioned a study 2 years ago by Detroit City Futures. And they found that 5,500 properties had people living in those properties that didn't have the title to those properties. So that's 5,500 people that we know of. There are more that we don't know of. If you are currently sitting in a house that you don't have title, a deed to, you can't do anything. You can't take advantage of any government programs. You can't get a mortgage. You can't, if your taxes are behind, the treasurer won't talk to you because your name is not on the deed. If you have a loved one that has passed on, you are currently sitting in a house that is not in your name, you need to come to my clinic. It is the Lakeshore's clinic. It is the third Friday of every month except December and November. We ain't doing nothing during the holidays. Letting you know, don't come down there. The flyer is in the back. It has Homes for Generation on it. It has my number. It has a QR code on it. Actually, it is a walk-in clinic. I suggest that you register, but if you don't register, it is a walk-in clinic and we will get to you as we can. The clinic is happening tomorrow. So I can't stay, like my colleagues had to run out because I need to prepare for our clinic tomorrow. I'm sorry. The time is 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. every third Friday. If you look, it has all the dates for each month.
And for our users on Zoom, can you give your Lakeshore's telephone number, the location, and the date of the first clinic?
So, first clinic was in January, so we're gonna skip that. The clinic is Friday the 20th. The location is 3200 Greenfield Road, Dearborn, Michigan. Our building is right on the corner of Rotunda and Greenfield. 3200 Greenfield Road, Dearborn, Michigan. It is right on the corner of Greenfield and Rotunda. The number that you can call for any type of assistance is 888-783-1890. 888-783-8190. That is our call line. There you'll be able to speak to an attorney, not a law student, an attorney that is versed in those. Let me tell you, those attorneys are great. They know more law. I've been practicing 30 years and they know more law than I've thought about knowing. They cover everything that you could possibly have a problem with. If they can't get you help, they will find a way to get you help. Beyond the probate, I heard someone has a ladybird deed. The only thing I want to tell you about ladybird deeds, so also at Homes for Generation, we do estate planning. So if you need a will, you need a power of attorney, we can help you with those. If you have a will, there is a term down at probate court called will contest. I'm gonna give me 2 minutes. You gave them like 10 minutes. What? I'm a lawyer. I'm supposed to be able to talk. Okay, so will contest. That means when you go, if one of your interested parties is unhappy with what your will says, they can walk into probate court and say, that ain't what auntie wanted to happen. That ain't what mom wanted to happen. A ladybird deed will ensure whoever you put on that deed gets that house. They can't take the ladybird deed, typically, into court, a probate court, and say, this ain't what mama wanted. Because at that point, they have to exceed extraordinary measures. They have to show that mama either wasn't competent or mama was unduly influenced. Those are very high standards. So unless mama was dribbling crazy and there's a doctor saying that she was when she signed the deed, that person who you want to have the house will have the house. So I suggest, as far as real property is concerned, ladybird deed is the best way to go, not a will. The rest of it, we can work that out in an estate planning situation. But since I'm being told I can't talk and I'm a lawyer and I'm supposed to talk, if you had, so look at Madam Councilwoman, look, I was told I got to wrap it up when I could wrap it up, and I'm gonna do what I was told to do because I want to come back.
Didn't you just say you had to go though?
The flyers on the back, I also brought an expungement clinic flyer in the event that you have a criminal record and you needed to, what? What? You want the expungement?
No, I don't want the expungement.
What you want?
What date is it?
Get what you want. The expungement clinic dates are also in the back. The next one coming up is in March. Don't come to that one. Don't come to that one. We got 161 folks already registered for that one. Right. Don't come to that one. Come to the one in April. April 3rd is the next one. I'm sorry. Dude, it's too late to register. Just come. So, you got a felony? Nope. No federal.
Now,
Only
didn't we
state.
tell you got to
Only
write
state.
down your questions? Yes,
Only
we
state.
did.
Okay. Only state. No federal. Anything in the state of Michigan we can help you with if you've been good. If you ain't been good, we can't even help you with it. All right. I'm done.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much. We're always thrilled when legal aid shows up. We thank you so very much. Now you all take advantage of, you heard him. Call there, go online and sign up, do everything that you need to do so that you can receive the assistance that you need. If you need any. Let me take this opportunity to have you hear from my colleague who represents District 6, Council Member Gabriela Santiago Romero.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's really good to see you all. Thank you for being here. I'm not going to get in between you and more learning and your questions. I just want to say thank you to Member Waters for working with our team and want to share that we are open to doing more of these in other places throughout the district. So if you have a church, a nonprofit, a community space that wants to bring this workshop, let us know and we can help you do that. But thank you again, Member Waters, for doing this. We hear about these issues all of the time, so it's really important that folks learn. So that's it for me. We can continue with the agenda. Thanks, you guys.
Okay.
All righty, we've got 10 more minutes. And with that, we're going to hear from another person on the probate side, Suzanne R. Fanning of Suzanne Fanning PC.
Good afternoon, District 6. With my apologies to Emma, saying "what up, dog" in British just does not hit the same. So bear with me. What up, dog? So thank you very much for staying. I've got some information that might help you. And I'm really sad to say, do you know where a lot of the fraud comes from for deeds? It comes from your families. Your families are stealing the deeds. But before I get into that, I want to just go a little bit more about a ladybird deed, because they're really, really interesting things. A ladybird deed is named after Lady Bird Johnson, the first lady. That's why it's called a ladybird deed. And you know, when you have a life insurance policy, you can put a beneficiary on it. And it's the best way to pass money to your family because it doesn't go through probate court. You can't put a beneficiary on a house. And so a lot of people will work really hard to do estate planning and other things, but they have to go through probate for their house. Ladybird deed allows you to pass a house like a beneficiary, like a life insurance policy. So what you do is, if you own, where's Miss Mildred? I talked to Miss Mildred, there you go. So Miss Mildred owns her home. What you can do is you can say, I am going to deed my house to myself for the rest of my life. I can sell it, mortgage it, lease it, whatever I want to do with it. And I might not have a house. But if I have a house when I die, upon my death, it automatically goes to my children. And that way it doesn't go to probate court. It's very hard to challenge. And it's a great tool to have to pass your assets where you don't have to go through the rigmarole. So I just wanted to explain a little bit more about a ladybird deed. So it's basically just a deed to yourself, but it has language allowing you to say who it goes to after your death. All right, on to the naughty people in your family. Have you ever had grandma die and all of a sudden cousin John or Uncle John gets the house? Because somebody's done something naughty with the deed. Now, there's a couple of ways they do that. First of all, people use powers of attorney. Do you all know what power of attorney is? Is there anyone who doesn't know a power of attorney? It basically allows you to designate somebody else, usually a family member, as a decision maker for you to make legal and financial decisions. But some people abuse this document and they use it because it gives them some legal authority to sign a deed to themselves. And oftentimes you don't find out about this when it happens because Michigan does not require you to record a deed for it to be legal. The signing of a deed and having it properly signed is the legality of it. And so what happens is somebody might have done this 2 years ago. You have no idea. They have no incentive to tell you because they're keeping it on the down low. And then grandma dies and all of a sudden your uncle pops up with this deed. You can challenge this, but you have to be quick. You can't just sit on it. You have to go into probate court when an estate is opened and challenge the validity of somebody using a power of attorney to change a deed. The same way, do you have any relatives that still have capacity? They can still function, but you can start to see maybe because of age or infirmity or some dementia, they're starting to get some impairments. It makes them quite vulnerable to undue influence. And then if the dementia progresses, they can become incapacitated, which means they can't legally sign a document. Well, family members, especially people who are living with the family, will use undue influence to persuade their mother or their grandmother or their sister to sign a deed over to them. And what they'll say is, none of the other family members care about you. I'm the only one looking after you. Haven't I done everything for you? Shouldn't I have the house? And of course, that's very difficult for a parent. So you can undo that too, but you have to get into probate court really quickly after somebody dies and challenge that document. When somebody dies and an estate is opened, even if you're not in the will, if you're not getting anything, as a family member, you're entitled to know that there's an estate being opened. So you do get notice. So you can go into probate court and do that quickly. So those are the three ways that the other way is, and I've seen the terrible situations where somebody's on their own and they die. And oftentimes it takes a few weeks for family and other people to get themselves together to open an estate, to find out assets. And during that time, they've missed a payment because the mail's still coming to the house where someone died. So maybe an HOA payment or a water payment or something else. And there are these predator companies that will take advantage of that because the house is subject to foreclosure. And they will contact somebody in the family. They'll find them through these finding services and say, hey, Uncle John, how about you be personal representative? And if you do, I'll give you $10,000, just cash. And that's very lucrative for somebody. So they'll take it. They think they're doing nothing wrong. Well, there's a whole bunch of other family members that didn't hear about this. And they come back into court. And who are they going after? Uncle John. So there's a lot of things that happen during that transition when somebody dies. So please keep an eye on it, and also know that because the deeds don't have to be recorded, when somebody dies, make sure you check to see if there is a deed that is different from the one everybody expects, because it is quite a nasty shock and it takes a lot to fight that. So I am available. I'm going to give you my cell phone number. If you can either text me, or if you want to just tell me in a message why you're calling, I will do my best to help you with any probate questions. My telephone number is 734-558-7179. And you can also text it. And I will stay here till the end and answer any probate questions you have. Thank you. My name's Suzanne Fanning. 734
That's
558 7179. Get it right, or you'll be calling one of my children because they've got really close ones and they won't help you at all.
and listen, we have had just some wonderful people here on this panel to assist us throughout. We've been traveling around the city talking about this very, very important issue. And so, Attorney Fanning, I know the last time you waited around and you took a look at some of the folks' deeds, they needed your help. Are you willing to do that today too?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, see, I love that about her. Because some of you have your deeds with you, right? Yes. Okay, all right. Well, anyway. Okay.
So you all have heard several things that you need to do to protect yourself from deed fraud. You have 4 terms written down on your paperwork. Now, Miss Emma asked you to do something when you get home today. If you don't have it with you, what are you going to do when you get home today? That's right. You're going to look at a copy of your deed. As always, you can contact the office of Councilmember Mary Waters at 313-628-2363. And our email address is councilmemberwaters@detroitmi.gov. And I will hand it to our 2 lovely council members to bring us home.
Okay, I just want to say 1 second. All what you heard applies to side lots too. So if you have side lots, this applies to property and land. Also, that's what your question was, because she was getting me some attitude, sister. But that's okay. I'm glad I answered. All this information applies to homes and land. Also, if you bought a house through the Wayne County Treasurer Office, right? And you bought it in cash, you got your quick claim deed, you got to go to the city of Detroit and do a property transfer affidavit. If you don't, you get fined for that. Yes. If you bought a property at auction, in order to get that, you went down to the Wayne County Treasurer Office and you say, I went down to the Treasurer Office and I registered my deed, but you didn't come to the city of Detroit to do a property transfer affidavit. Guess what? That property is still in that person's name. Okay? With the city. It's 2 different offices that you got to do a process in. You got to first go down to the registered deeds office and register your deeds. Then come down to the city of Detroit, get a property transfer affidavit, and also you'll be eligible if you are owner-occupied homeowner for a PRE. That's primary residential exemption. The reason why that is important is because if you run into a situation where you experience hardship and you're going to lose your property, we have the HOPE application program that can assist only owner-occupied homeowners, and you can get your property either discounted or completely exempt. And you can save your property and your generational wealth. But if you don't do your paperwork right, None of this will be, you will not be eligible for that, none of this. Also, those 5,000 plus homes that he mentioned, those are called heirs property. That means people, you living in your grandma's house, you living in your mama's house, if you don't got a Lady Bird deed, guess what? You got to go to probate. And that's what she's talking about. You cannot skip that process. There's no other way that you're going to be able to detain the rightful ownership of that property with your name on it without going to probate if you don't have a Lady Bird deed. We gave you all that information, so I just want to make sure that y'all understand that, and thank you.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Joanna and Santana. Let's give them a round of applause. Miss Emma here, she brings it every time. And we really appreciate you've been out to every single session. And we thank you so very much because it's did you find her information helpful? Yeah. Yes, that's right. And Attorney Fanning, we're looking forward to seeing you a lot more for the remainder of them. Harry, thank you so much for coming out from the Register of Deeds office. You know, we managed to get Register of Deeds out once, Mr. Youngblood. I mean, that was an honor. Because you all know it's very difficult to get him out. But it was definitely an honor to have him out. And he arrived and he stayed the entire time. Yeah, that was great. So I'm going to go ahead first and allow my colleague to give some closing remarks.
Thank you, Member Waters. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. And I just have a quick question. So deeds don't have to be recorded. Should they? Can they? If we change the process, can that be a thing that we can do?
You can always record, and I encourage you to record. What happens when you record is then if you then lose your original deed in a fire, or a lot of people just, mislay their deeds, there is a recorded version that is legal in the register of deeds. So it's such a good thing to record, but it's not legally required.
Yes, please, because that sounds.
Let me talk about that from the Register of Deeds side too. Our job is to make a public record that people can check and see what's going on with a piece of property, all the property, every single parcel here in Wayne County. Now, if that deed is not recorded and somebody tries to look and see some history on this property because they want to do something and they don't see that deed, they won't know that you have an interest in that property. And we talked about race to record. We talked about, I mentioned first mortgage and second mortgage. But if you have a quitclaim deed, and I got a quitclaim deed from Miss Fanning over here, and I sat on it, and she's not really going to do this, but she decides somebody makes her a better offer and gives another deed to somebody else 2 months later, and they go to the Register of Deeds before I do, they are the owner of the property, not me. That's the laws in this state. We are a race to record state. So recording makes a record. It makes an opportunity to have a duplicate in case you lose your copy, whether it's a fire or a flood or something like that, and also protects your interest. So,
and can I just add on one thing? Another really good practice, if you own your home as husband and wife, or you own your home jointly and somebody dies, record the death certificate, because that in the chain of title, and Emma will tell you, then the title company says, oh, now I know why it's in the wife's own name or the husband's own name, because I can see that the spouse died. When you don't file the death certificate, it causes Emma extra work because they've got to work out why, how the house transferred.
Well, we want to add one more thing to that. Again, why it's important for you to look at those deeds tonight, just speaking of husband and wife, because it may be a situation where you, a wife or a husband, acquired the property and you were single at the time. And then you got married and your spouse passed away, but they never put you on title. So they never did a deed from themselves over to you and them as husband and wife. It's just the assumption that's my husband, that's my wife, that property is automatically going to go to me. No, now you have to deal with probate and you need to call Suzanne. So again, look at your deeds tonight, please. What about, you mean if you get divorced? Typically, in the divorce judgment, it will dictate who the property is awarded to. In some cases, the judgment or the order may say a deed should be recorded from that, or deed should be recorded from that spouse to you, or in lieu of the deed, you can record the actual judgment itself. But yes, something does need to be recorded. You may be able to record the actual judgment. If the language is in there, the judgment can be recorded in lieu of a deed, but you still want to have your attorney review that because there may be other stipulations that go along with him deeding that property over to you. But it is something that you need to look at sooner than later, because if you decide to do some future movements with that property, you don't want this to be an issue for you. You're
So
welcome.
Record your information, keep learning. Thank you, Member Waters, for putting this together. We will continue to share this information out as well. But just really, really grateful, Team Waters, for putting this together because we deal with this every day and our residents need to be educated on this. Me as well. I'm learning a lot. I'm going to go record everything, I'm going to get right on it. Thank you.
That's right, Member Santiago Romero. Record, record, record. All right. So, but once again, thank you all so much for coming out to participate. If you have any questions for our panelists, those that will remain, we're happy to answer your questions, Ms. Emma and and Attorney Fanning for sure. So come on up and ask them a question if you need to. Thank you all so much. I'm Mary Waters, representing the whole D.
Tell me which one of your primary residences is your income. I'm not going to leave till I answer your question.